Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Moonduck. We're going to take a look at Cresselia. This Pokemon is rank 3 on PvPoke and got a huge buff this season, which I find kind of interesting, so let's take a look at it. The moveset also kind of shifted for this Pokemon. Before you were running usually Moonblast to counter something like a Medicham, which is kind of funny that we encountered in the first game here already in the lead, which is still going to be a very solid matchup for you with the move Future Sight. Future Sight going to give you better coverage against Fire-type Pokemon, which usually hardboard you before that, and as we had a lot of Fire-type Pokemon being buffed this season, this definitely makes some sense. Also does make some sense, as far as I know at least, to go for a Zapkin against a Bastion first, because this allows you to, take a Flamethrower a little bit easier, knock them out easily afterwards with the Focus Blast. Maybe you can also go straight for the Focus Blast, not too sure anymore. I haven't played the Registeel in a while, and for good reasons. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Registeel. Doesn't mean that this Pokemon is bad. Like, definitely not. This Pokemon is amazing. This team was amazing as well. I can highly recommend you to try it out. But I just don't really like Registeel. Main reason for this is the chance of debuffing Pokemon, and I feel like I get it like at maybe 20% or something instead of like the 66% it's supposed to be. Okay, not 20, but maybe like 40% or whatever. Definitely not even. Like, again, also when I played it today, I was like, oh man, like honestly, I would have won even a few more games, I think, if I got the debuff correctly, or like had a little bit of an easier time. But still, this team is insanely bulky with the Elite as well as the Pokemon in the back. Registeel plus the Cresselia, both very bulky Pokemon. Of course, it's a little bit tricky to get Cresselia. You can actually still trade a Cresselia from raids, which are like level 20, with someone that is a very low friendship level, and you can still have a chance of getting this below 1500 CP. So if you don't have a Cresselia yet, I feel like it's definitely worth trying to go for that. But here we're going to take a look at our Cresselia. There's actually a bulk point that you kind of want to hit. Mine doesn't have it either, but I'm still going to survive with it. It's kind of more about like trying to get the Pokemon in the first place, I have to say. So don't really worry too much about the IVs. There isn't deep. I think you need a little bit more defense here compared to what I have, but it is fine. Like, it's okay. You're going to be able to go up here against Electrode. To see an Electrode, still a Pokemon that I kind of want to take a look at as well, but I never really got to it. Like, cool meta breaker in the current meta has you an Electrode being able to beat something like a Lantern plus like flying type Pokemon, which are super common, plus also Mud Boys is a really cool trait for this Pokemon, but it's still kinda not the best Pokemon ever. Also, here we're gonna see the benefit of the new move Rock Slide on the Vigoroth, which we're gonna see here directly actually in a quite decent way, as we're going to be able to reach another Rock Slide against the Mantine. This will be able to get the shield from the opponent, and so I'm going to still have a shield advantage against them. I can let this move go through, it's still just an aerial ace, and I'm still even going to be able to reach a body slam in time. So with this, I will be able to realign, have a shield advantage, and also have now my Registeel against the Swampert of the opponent. I can go for the Grass Knot against the Swampert now with my Cresselia, and with this game is over. Like, this game is literally over. Here, I actually separated the sets a little bit as well. Like, this is the first set that I played with this team, the second set is going to be afterwards. But this is basically how I started into this team, which is really, really nice to see how strong this team actually can be. We can go for the Future Sight here against the opponent's Hisuian Electrode, and this does too much damage for them, and we can move on to the next game. Future Sight is actually a pretty solid move, but it's going to be a little bit tricky against Pokemon like the Dragonair. Or if you're going to now go up against a Poliwrath, which kind of hard counters you here. But what is kind of cool about this matchup here still is you can still get a shield, and I feel like this can be worth it, because Dragonair, Shadow Dragonair, is very, very strong in the 2-shield scenario. It's not as strong in the 1-shield, and it's pretty bad in the 0-shield scenario, which makes it a smart idea here to get rid of a shield from the opponent. If they get to the Icy Wind here, like, I don't really care if they're gonna get the debuff here. I don't really care too much either. Of course, get it immediately with a Scald, but I can swap out immediately into my Registeel here, as the opponent is going to run the Ludicolo in the back. Ludicolo is something that I find very interesting, but I don't think it's really good. We're actually gonna get a debuff here, which I'm very happy about, because now the Scald is not gonna do enough damage to even two-shot me, I feel like. They are, of course, gonna get the debuff as well with their 50% chance of the Scald, but let's see, third Scald coming through. Do they get 3 in a row? No, they do not, and so we can still get to another Zap Cannon. This is going to get them a little bit lower than I didn't even think that, like, I thought it would do more damage than this, but and still going to be fine. The opponent swaps into the Dragonair, and here you'll see something as well. The difference between Moonblast and Future Sight is actually not really there in those kind of matchups. It's still going to chunk quite a bit, and so we can go for a full farm down with our Cresselia, go for a Grass Knot and knock them out to win this game, but actually fairly close one for bringing some spice here with the Ludicolo, which is really cool to see, so good game there. Next opponent going to be Algorithm Please. I kinda feel like this is going to be a funny one here, of course, but the opponent's actually the first one that I battled here as far as I know, and I made a huge mistake here by going into the Vigoroth against the opponent's Ferrothorn. I wanted to go into the Registeel. Registeel does way more sense here to go into that one instead of the Vigoroth. Vigoroth does not have charge moves that's going to hit the opponent. Registeel is going to be able to resist usually all the moves of the opponent unless they're running Thunder, but even then they don't do really a lot of damage with that. And they're even going to bait me here, which is going to allow them to get to another charge move. So far, so kinda bad, but we're gonna be able to still survive that one. We're going to have a ton of energy, which comes in clutch against the Azumarill, but we're still in a little bit of a worse spot than we should have been, because, yeah, Registeel would have been a better play to go for, and I wanted to go into this Pokemon as well. My mistake, definitely a wrong swap there, but yeah, I just saw Steel type and I went into the Pokemon that has counter, but it's not always the easiest option here. You know what's kind of funny though? The opponent is running a Hypno, and the opponent is already up 2 fast moves, 3 fast moves, 4 fast moves, 5 fast moves, 6 fast moves, and so I feel like this is a little bit sus, and so I decided to swap out. I decided to swap out into my Cresselia, and just enjoy this. No commentary there needed, it was just beautiful. We're going to be able to now go for a Grass Knot though and completely punish the opponent's Hypno, but honestly, that catch, I'm kind of proud of myself, but we're going to be able to just easily win this game now at this point because we can just go for more Grass Knots, and like, what is the opponent supposed to do here? Cresselia just too good, and we can move on into claiming the set here, which you can see as well. This was a 5-0, it's not like cut together or anything like this, but let's move on to the next set. Again, all battles that I played with this team are going to be in this video as well, so yeah, there's nothing like cut out or anything like this, and we can show the entire problems of this team that are maybe still coming up, and also all the benefits of it. Here we're going to have a matchup where we're going to go up against the Pelipper. Pelipper does not really appreciate the Rock Slide, and so they decide to use a shield, and as I now see that the opponent acknowledging the Rock Slide, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to decide to use a shield. I decide to go for my Body Slam to bait all the potential Rock Slide because I used the shield on my own, and they decide to use a shield here as well, and this allows me to still reach another Rock Slide in time, knocking out the opponent whilst getting a shield advantage. Like, there's nothing the opponent can do here anymore, right? Maybe there's still something that they can do about it, because I did not really pay too much attention to this battle here, which is a little bit of a mistake. So, yeah, I should have thought out earlier. With this Grass Knot, I think I'm still going to be okay, because this kind of forced the opponent to be in range for a Focus Blast, which is always kind of nice. As he went for the Earthquake, we're going to be able to just go for our own Focus Blast, get the easy knockout. We don't have to rely on any debuff, and with this game is basically over. Like, it's going to be an easy win here, as the opponent has no move to basically go for against the Registeel. Next opponent coming through, great lead for us. Let's see if we can screw this game still up here. Let's see what the opponent is going to try to do here. They decide to stay in and go for a Lickitung swap. This is a little bit of an annoying one, because I rather kept the energy here, because the matchup of Vigoroth against the Lickitung is so much better that I don't really want to give this one up, but let's see what we can do. I expect that the opponent is going to have something like maybe, I don't know, Skarmory or like some Steel type in the back, so we most likely going to still be okay here, but we have to see about this. We want to see the Poliwrath coming in, we can still go for the Body Slam. I think this was a CMP type, definitely looked like one, and as we're going to see here, the opponent is going to go for their own charge move, being the Scald, and they're going to get me low enough, and of course get the debuff immediately as well, but they're still going to be in range for a Grass Knot, so I decide to wait out the switch clock, hope that the opponent is going to maybe swap out eventually. It's going to be a Steam Pita here, so it depends on what they're going to run in the back. And we will see here that they can still go for a Scald. Don't get the debuff this time around, it doesn't really matter anyway, as the opponent is going to have a Lantern in the back. This game should be over. Unless I'm insanely unlucky, this game should be over. I should just be able to go for some Zap Cannon and get some debuffs, but the opponent doesn't even want to go for the luck because they decide to forfeit. Next opponent going to be PokeGains, shoutouts to you. Also, I think that he was streaming as well. We're going to see here the Skeledirge coming in, and Skeledirge is one of the biggest issues for this team. And here we're gonna be at the part, basically the section of this video, we're gonna talk a little bit about the issues of this team. This team is also going to have some Pokemon that can counter it, and Skeledirge is one of them. I was able here to go for a very risky play in general, to go for the bait all the time, which is really nice for me. as I will be able to reach, again, a body slam here, the opponent going to use the shield again. I don't reach a rock side, which was something I wanted to know if this was possible for me. It is not possible, and so I have to go back into my Cresselia. I know that they need 3 fast moves to get to the next one. I can go for the future side with 1 over. This will be able to get the knockout, but they're going to have basically one of the worst possible Pokemon in the back here. There are 2 Pokemon that kinda counter, our lead as well as our Pokemon in the back, and the opponent has literally both of them in their team. And so this is going to be a matchup that is unwinnable. I would say that the opponent is more running something spicy, which is really cool, of course. I enjoy to see stuff like this, but I would not say that this is going to be something common that you see all the time. Again, I feel like Skeletor is going to be a little bit more common, which means also that you might have to take some losses or have to find some more strategies around it, maybe catching a Shadow Ball on the Vigoroth. But here we're sadly going to still barely lose, but still lose to 2 of the hardest counters for the backline, or like in general the team. Next opponent, we're going to have another little bit of an issue here, of course, horrible lead of a dark type against our Cresselia with a Drapion. A Drapion, again, Pokemon that you barely really see. We're going to get the Azumarill onto our Vigoroth, which is something that you see maybe more often, but it would have been way better on any other Pokemon of our team, because we're going to have still our Registeel, which would be a great matchup against the Azumarill. We still would have the Grass Knot on our Cresselia, but we're going to have it now aligned against our Vigoroth, which is not really ideal. But we can still try to go for the full farm down here with our Cresselia, trying to get as much of an advantage here as possible. I maybe should swap out eventually, and I decide to swap out into the Registeel, where the opponent decides to go into their Drapion. And yeah, we're gonna use a shield here, and this was something that I was just like thinking in my head. Like, the likelihood of us getting a debuff is way higher than the opponent getting a drop, and so I decided to use a shield. The opponent didn't get a drop, I don't get a debuff, which is of course great already. I use another shield, the opponent doesn't get a drop again, which is kinda okay for us, but of course I would have enjoyed here not to use a shield because I got a debuff or anything like this, but I didn't. And so I'm gonna go for a Zapcan now. Let's see if the opponent going to use a shield here. They do not, and they're going to have in the back a Venusaur. And I was just hoping that, yeah, with a Zapcan here and the debuff, I should be kind of fine with this. We go for another one, we don't get a debuff again. And this is like the thing, I think I would have been able to win this game most likely because I would have had more health here. I would have been able to swap into my Cresselia a little bit easier onto the charge move and keep more health off this charge move. But no, it is not really possible for us. I think I might have been able to still survive a move from the Azumarill then as well. But yeah, if you don't get the debuff, you don't get the debuff. And so we're sadly going to lose this game, as we're not going to be able to do anything here anymore. We didn't have enough health on the Registeel. It is what it is. I feel like it was a winnable game if we were a little bit more lucky. Final opponent for today, decent lead for us, not the most, like not the greatest or whatever, like it's still a pretty neutral scenario because Grass Knot is not stab. You still have to go for 3 Grass Knots, I think, to knock them out here, but it's still going to be better for us than for the opponent. They can go for the Hydro Pump if they want to. They're going to go for the Play Rough, which is okay for me, as I will be able to reach another Grass Knot here. This Grass Knot is going to be able to get them low. I can try to swap out here because it is kind of an ABB style line. I kind of have to hope that Cresselia is basically the best answer for certain Pokemon in the back. And I guess it's very smart to do this here because the opponent is going to have a Gligar. And Gligar is a little bit of a trickier one for this team. It's not the biggest issue though, because still we're going to do neutral damage with the Vigoroth and the Body Slams. We're still going to do neutral damage with every move of Cresselia, so it's not the worst matchup ever, but it's also not the greatest. Great play by the opponent though to go for straight the aerial ace here, which is smart because otherwise they wouldn't not really get any move off here. But we're gonna be able to still go for a Grass Knot. We don't really need our Cresselia anymore because they're going to have a Sandslash in the back. And I think Registeel can win this matchup. Or it's going to be close at least, but the opponent catches just perfectly. Like, it was not even like on time or whatever. Like, I was going a little bit over because I was hoping that the opponent would not try to catch, or like would try to catch, and I would be able to farm down the Azumarill. But like this, my only hope is to maybe get a debuff here, which I get, which is great. But basically I'm forced to catch the next move afterwards. And as we can see here, Drill Run gonna get me low. Would have most likely knocked me out without the debuff, but I was not able to catch the move. So the opponent will be able to win this game. They just have to go for another Drill Run afterwards. And so this is going to be a little bit of a awkward one there. Not sure if I would have been even able to win this game if they didn't catch the move, but this is going to be it for this game. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely a solid line to try out, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.